Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spacehaven and the Supernova with Unstable 18 run. This is episode 7 and we are starting this video making a base for the Merchant Federation. We are starting the base creation on the corner here. Our objective is to get the resources from our accompanying ship released as soon as possible and use the resources as efficiently as possible. So we need to get the asteroid cargo port built on the asteroid. We were able to build the base just in time. We had a couple of days to spare, but I would say this was still a little too close to the deadline for my liking. Before I leave the trading station to their rightful owner, we're going to clean the base of all building materials. Call it the building tax. Now that the station has changed hands, the station owners will realize that unfortunately they did not get any supplies. Luckily, we are still here to help. The idea is to double dip and trade with the station any premium stuff they need and we can depart with. I will admit that this is a rather cheesy tactic to get extra resources and money. However, we have to be quick about it as MFS IS Hope is still also in the area and they are trading with the station as well. Although I am unsure whether this has been changed in a recent patch or if I just got unlucky this time. They don't seem to have a lot of money right now. I may have to check later when the other ship has transported more goods there. MAS the SALTIRE is filled with crawlers. We, on the other hand, have laser rifles. I just want you to see what happens here if you haven't gotten the laser weapons yet. We obliterate the aliens. I just love the laser rifles. The old bait tactic works just as well. No need to change something that works. I do have one thing to note. I wonder whether the weapon skill improves depending on shots fired, hits, or enemies killed. I believe it is to be one of the former ones, which means we kill faster, we shoot less, and the skill progresses slower. So eventually we might not be so well equipped against human enemies as our skills have not increased as much. I do believe that at that point we would have our crew augmented to negate that loss of skill. In CS Under the Radar we encounter bots. Same thing here with the laser rifles. 2 hits and the bots are dead. Did I mention that I love these weapons already? I have been complaining about the organic way my ship has been expanding as I progress on the Tech 3. Now it is time to change that and redo the whole ship. And I immediately ran into an issue. When I started this run, I chose a 2x2 size ship canvas without really thinking about it. Now I see that I cannot make the biggest 2x3 ship as you are only allowed to use 8 spaces overall on the ship build grid. At first I tried just building a second 2x2 ship. The idea was that I would design the outline, fill it up and then make sure everything fitted. The aft of the ship would house the industrial area. The engines would be housed on the sides on their own protruding area with solar panel arrays behind them. While I liked the idea, the bulky look of the ship did not please me, and building the hull took ages, so I reloaded and went back to the drawing board. I chose a 1x3 ship canvas and started building the same kind of a ship, but on a smaller scale. As the building process of the new ship progressed, I started scrapping facilities on my ship to allow me to move these things to the new ship, without needing to have double the resources. The middle area of the ship will have the crew quarters and a mess hall. This will allow the crew easy access to every facility on the ship. At this point I also realized I was slowly running out of water, with 2 ships that are both inoperable and quite unable to effectively get more water. Also, I had switched back to a 2x2 canvas size, if you're wondering why the ship has so much space available. What was eating up the water was the food production. I was producing a lot of food and most of this was unnecessary. So applying an if condition to food production would help with both water consumption and the work shortage, as only the grow beds that need to grow food for our needs should be attended. Reloading and switching canvases. I eventually settled for a 1x3 canvas for the ship. This meant that I had to redo the design a bit. The engines will be in the back with the industrial sector. The airlock will be on the starboard side, and the energy production with the X3 power plant and the solar panels will be on the port side. Now, this final model was the 4th iteration, and getting here had taken hours of building and rebuilding. I think this is currently the worst part of the game, and I hope it gets changed before the game is properly released. This is currently the alpha version 18. Now, if you paid attention, you heard me say that this ship used 3 tiles. Which means we cannot create the 2x3 ship canvas in the future. Oh well, version 19 will come out in a couple of months, so I doubt that we will have a need for that new ship. The middle area will hold the crew quarters. We're going for a small footprint here, so only 4 tiles in a straight line to make a bedroom. On the starboard side of the crew quarters will be the operations room and the hangar bay, so all operational stuff will be right there next to the crew quarters. So in an emergency, our crew will have a short distance to get to their post. Towards the fore of the ship, from the crew quarters, we have the med bay / hypersleep chamber room. Once the new ship was livable, I started really scrapping the old ship, down the last pieces of the hull. Next to the med bay and towards the fore of the operations area will be the greenhouse. The area will be separated from the rest of the ship with an airlock so I can easily control the gases and the temperature in there. At least in theory. If my crew has to wear suits there, it may increase the amount of accidents there, so we shall see how this will go. Apart from a couple of point defense weapons in the industrial area, the rest of the weapon systems will be placed at the bow of the ship. We have 4 gun turrets, 2 point defense, and a missile turret there. The ship also has a large shield generator in the industrial area. On the fore of the ship we also have a mission area where we can store any prisoners for bounties and a ship cargo port for cargo missions. This finally concludes the tour on our new ship, as we are building it. With the ship finally done and most of our money and resources gone, we accepted a couple of missions and moved to exploring derelicts. Our first target was ACS Zahkul. MAS Nighthawk was our next target, and it was a good time to test out Christoph's fighting capabilities. Having Christoph on the boarding party also meant that I could leave Calvin home, so we can now do both mining and boarding derelicts at the same time, which will save us a lot of time in the future. CNHS Dasher Scrapper derelict came after MAS Nighthawk. Laser rifles made short work out of the crawlers inhibiting this ship. Next we stumbled on CS Gemaster. After that came PC's Reasonable Excuse, and I think I've already explored a ship with a similar name. HSS Draco was next, which by the way was a claimable ship. I decided to claim it to see if I could pick it apart and get blocks instead of just scrap, and I could. Next time we're going to see a claimable ship, we're gonna abandon it and see if we can get blocks or if we're just gonna get scrap as usual from derelicts. Spoiler alert, I did find such a ship later on, and after abandoning it, I only got scrap from it. So, it is advised to claim the ship and then take it apart instead of just abandoning it. Say hi to PC's Cuttlefish, it is added to the scrap pile. Same thing with MFS Black Betty. Around this time I got the tech for the Sentry guns. I need to test these out at a later time as an additional safety measure. derelict ACS Split Infinity kept sending robots against us. So apparently these tubes on top of enemy ships will house bots that the enemy can deploy to attack us. Over there we also got to test our laser weapons against Chimpbot. They are quite effective, as I had already assumed. We also freed Thomas from his hypersleep chamber and took him in as a refugee. For now, I do not want extra crew members to eat up our oxygen and other resources. MSS Terpsichore has some evolving alien cores. We quickly disposed everything on this ship. The ship was also located in a siren world. Apparently these worlds will affect the crew in a negative way. And yeah, I can attest to that. We had some really big problems with the crew. I was hit by a multitude of effects at the same time. I had fires, I had the siren world effect causing people not working, I had spores, which was probably causing the unconscious effect. There was a lot of stuff coming at the same time, so I can't really say what was caused by the siren world effect and what was caused by something else. Before I end this video, and considering that Alpha 19 is right around the corner this whole run, I wanted to test out the firepower of my ship. As I was unable to find a pirate ship, I decided to target the next ship available. This turned out to be a Merchant Federation ship with 2 large shields and 2 gun turrets. They also had a fighter that they could deploy. While they were severely outgunned, their shields could take up more beating than mine could. Thus, we were going to win this fight, but not without taking heavy damage to our ship. Their porting bodies were also decimated at the airlock. Unfortunately, I think we were a bit too lethal, as none of their porting party members survived. I also got to see what would happen if a fighter was lost in battle. Turns out the pilot will simply eject from the exploding ship. I did not check, but I would assume that the pilot will take some damage when that happens. Eventually the enemy escaped from the battle, but I learned what I needed. Our shields are not up to the task when fighting higher tier ships. Another thing I would have liked to test out was the Sentry guns. However, I could not figure out how to deploy them during the fight. So here's a quick tip on how to use these. I learned this by googling how these things work. First, you must equip the remote controller to the primary weapon slot on your crew member. Then you trap the person, and with 1 to 3 sentry guns in their inventory, you can right-click and hold the mouse button on a floor tile to open a menu. In there you will see a deploy sentry gun order. After that, you can deploy the sentry gun by clicking that order. Note that the deployment will take some time, so it is not advised to do this while combat is taking place. Another thing to note is that the space will not be blocked by the sentry gun, so your crew members may pass through the sentry gun tile without any problems. Okay, I think that pretty much wraps it up for now. Laser rifles are great, we have a new ship, and we have cleared a bunch of derelicts. Alpha version 19 has just come out while recording this, and that means the end for this run and a new run in the future. Also, I hope June is offering me a chance to do something different, meaning that I might be doing some live streams in the coming months. I have usually been doing that on Twitch, but I might give YouTube streaming a try. However, I might be playing something completely different. Namely, I tried out Planet Crafter earlier, and I might give that an extra chance, but at least in the beginning as a live stream. We shall see how things turn out. So, Spacehaven will be moved to a back burner position for now. But thank you all for watching, have a good day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.